Hey everyone, Dennis here, EDC for Fun. Thanks for checking out the video. Today we're looking at my Spyderco PM2. This is the one with Cruwear steel, brown canvas micarta scales, aka Cruwear. Alright guys, so let's get into it. So right off the bat, I'm just gonna get it out of the way. The Cruwear steel is awesome. The edge retention is amazing. The toughness is fantastic, and even though it's not a full stainless steel, to be stainless, it's got to have more than 11% chromium, which this has. I think it's 7.5%, and it needs less than 2% carbon, which this is like 1.5. So it's good on the carbon, but it doesn't have enough chromium to be considered stainless. In my experience, it hasn't made a difference, and I'm in the mid-Atlantic and it gets pretty humid, and reality is I haven't treated this blade at all. I maybe, when I first got it, put some frog lube on it, which I'm going to do here in a little bit. And yeah, I think when I first got it, I put some on there, but I haven't done anything to it, and it's been over a year at this point since I've had it, and I think maybe I stropped it like twice in a year, but I haven't sharpened it at all, but I haven't needed to. It's just cut so well. I've been really impressed with this steel, like really like no other. I mean, 20 CV is a favorite of mine, you know, and you could throw in M390 because it's basically the same thing, but this Cruwear is just fantastic. It really is. That's enough about the steel. Let's talk about the action. Mine right out of the box was really good. It wasn't tight. It deployed no problem. The detent was great. It dropped freely with no blade play. It did develop some lock stick, which I ended up, I've taken this apart once, maybe twice, but definitely once, and filed a little bit where the, like the tang of the compression lock goes into the blade. But other than that, the action has been fantastic. Disengaging the lock, even like left-handed, it's not ideal, but it works. I mean, it's a compression lock, so using it for a lefty, what I do if I'm using it with my left hand is actually operate it like a back lock, so I don't, you know, I don't pull my fingers all the way off the scale. I actually just hold my index finger under like where the choil is, or under where this first groove is here, and just press it like a back, almost like it was a back lock, and then just pull it closed. Action's good, the steel is good, the ergonomics, it's a PM2, so you either love it or you hate it. I love the grooves, I love the jimping, I love the handle shape. Ever since the first time I held a PM2, I knew it was for me. I was really impressed with the ergonomics and how it just fits so well in my hand in any position, whether I have it like this, or if I'm choked up, or if I have it in a hammer grip like that. I almost never use a knife in this grip, but even in that grip, it's quite comfortable, ice pick or whatever that's called. The scales on this one, as you can see, have the brown canvas micarta, and even after a year, although I haven't been carrying this every day, I probably carry it about once a week, sometimes more, sometimes less, but I think it kind of nets out to about once a week. It's not, you know, fully darkened. You can see that side's a little bit darker, but even after a year of pretty frequent carry, it's still got a fluffy texture to it, and it's nice and grippy. It's not slick. It doesn't feel like slimy. and it's just got a really nice feel to it. The edges have a very, very small chamfer on them, which I do kind of wish that this had some contouring on it. If I ever make scales for this with, by the way, the full stainless steel liners is easier to do than with a standard PM2, because with a standard PM2, which I have one here, you've got the liners that are nested in that scale, so you have to mill all that out, which isn't impossible, but it's a lot of work. And with this one, you'll see when we take it apart, I mean, you've basically just got a slab. It's like a sandwich. And making something like that for this is much simpler. So if you wanted to start with a thicker material and then just round it off and get the contours, kind of like what they did with the Shaman. That one has inset liners too, but what I'm talking about is just the contours of the scale. That would be really nice. The other thing about the scales, when these first came out, there was a lot of gripes about the way they did this compression lock side, where it's really thin here, and it does have some flex. I haven't had any issues, like as far as like that big gap, like the meat of my palm or whatever going in that gap, or squeezing it too hard and feeling like it's gonna break like that. It's just been a non-issue. I mean, you can squeeze the hell out of it, and I mean, unless you're trying to break it, it's not gonna break. I mean, with the G10 one, if you really wanted to, you could break that. I mean, you could break anything if you really want to. But I mean, the difference mostly is that there's no lip here, like in the G10 one. But the reality is, all it is just a little lip. Everything else is milled out. So it's really not that different. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and get this thing apart. And we're just gonna do some basic maintenance, take a look at the inside, clean it up, get it back together. Nothing crazy. Things about the way they did this is, even though the lanyard hole is press fit, it's not as stiff as the G10 versions, which either need a tool to be taken off or need a lot of patience, a heat gun, and some other ingenious method to get it off. This thing was really not hard to take apart. And one thing I want to look at while this is open, by the way, is just kind of compare this blade stock to a standard production PM2 blade. And as you can see, they are identical. So if you wanted to, you could switch out a standard PM2 blade of whatever steel you want. Now, that's not true for the compression lock. There is definitely a difference in the liners, because one's a full liner, the other one's inset, so they can't be swapped, but the blades can be swapped. Next, we're gonna go ahead and get this blade cleaned off. See the Cruwear marking right there. See if I can get that to show up better. There we go. One thing I always love about these, you got that golden Colorado USA Earth marking on there. You can see the maker's marks on there. E for Eric Lesser. And then you got Sal SAL for Sal Glesser. Legends in the trade, if you ask me. By the way, this is a silicone rag. Usually use it for firearms. It was handy, so I figured I'd just use it to get this stuff cleaned off. And one thing with this satin blade, you definitely get scratches. Would be nice if it was tumbled, but it is what it is. I don't care that much. I didn't get this knife so that it can be pretty and sit up on a shelf. We got some goop on there. Might have to get some cleaning going. Rubbing alcohol. Trying to remember where I fouled this thing. I'll come off camera here for a second. Yeah, I was getting some rubbing here, and I remember when I was starting to get frustrated by the lock stick, I took some Sharpie and just marked around. You can actually still see there's some left on there, just to see if I could pinpoint where it was rubbing. Yep, you see that Sharpie coming off. So clearly it wasn't rubbing there. So where the Sharpie rubbed off, that's where the friction points were. So I just filed them down a little bit, just little by little, put it back together and check to see if it's stuck. And it gradually, got smoother and smoother. Now that we've got that squared away, just want to take a look at this pocket that's milled on the compression lock side of the scale. And you can see, yes, it is thinner there, but like I said, even though it's got some flex, it's pretty durable. And I mean, I've literally thrown this knife, and not just once, but multiple times. Just goofing around, getting it to stick into wood, and of course using it, cutting, whether it's processing wood or cardboard or whatever it is, and just haven't had any issues with that. So we'll go ahead and get this thing back together. Just grab some KPL and pop a little bit on the washers. Bit on the detent ball. All right, went back together smoothly. Action is phenomenal. No blade play, free dropping. Just what I would expect. This come to be my experience with these. I know everybody's mileage may vary, but I've had really, really good experiences with them, and very, very happy with this. About a year in, no disappointments. It has absolutely met all my expectations. Super happy with this knife. Super happy with you guys for checking out the video. As always, you guys, I appreciate you watching. Thank you so much. God bless you. Have a fantastic day.